So earlier, I mentioned that there were two types of adaptations, and we see that mostly in IEPs, and they either talk about doing accommodations, leveling the playing field, meaning we've added some adaptations that make it possible for this student to do the same thing the other people do, possibly in a little different way, or modifications where we're changing the playing field. It's no longer the exact size. It's no longer the exact width. Different things are happening. So it was, I talked about leveling and changing the playing field. Emma was sharing with me that there's also people use combining it with the idea of a hike. If I go on a hike with someone, but I don't need walking sticks, they need walking sticks. They may need more breaks than I do, or I might need more breaks than they do. Those are things that don't change the hike. We're still doing the exact same hike. We're going the same place. Everything's the same, except we're doing it just slightly differently. All I'm doing is using the sticks to help me keep my balance, and I'm using the brakes to get my wind back and keep going.
Kathy, can I pause you for
Yeah,
just a second so I can give the interpreter a chance to catch
sorry.
up? Would you like us to back up and repeat that? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for catching that, Emma. Okay, so the idea of going on a hike, if I go on a hike with someone, but I take walking sticks, they don't. If I need more breaks than they need to get water, to eat something, to give me more strength, to take time to breathe, all we're doing is leveling the playing field. We're doing the exact same hike. Now, if if I went on one hike and you went on a different hike and you went on the hike that was the way it's supposed to be, but I can't hike as far as you do, so the hike's going to only be half the distance that you do. Now we're changing the playing field. Now it's no longer just accommodating that person to do what all they need to do. We're actually changing what we need to do. I'm only going on a 1 mile hike. You're going on a 2 mile hike. So that changes. It might be that my balance is bad and walking sticks alone won't fix that. So we're going to go on a hike that doesn't have much change in going up hills and down hills and up mountains, sliding between big rocks and things because of my balance. So then we're talking about that being a modification. So if a student listens to an audiobook instead of actually reading the book, that's an accommodation. However, if the student is assigned a simpler version of the story, that's actually modifying things because I might not be able to handle all the vocabulary that are in the story itself. So maybe they changed it and made it a simpler story to begin with. So that's modification. So those are some of the difference. And in some IEPs, you will see accommodations and you will see modifications. It depends. So remember that in an accommodation, you're keeping the learning goals the same. And we typically think about accommodations being how is the material presented? What is the response expected? How is that response supposed to be? Does the student have to write something? Does the student say something? Does the student sign something? What is the setting? Where are we? And where is it happening? And then also the timing and the scheduling. For example, giving a student who uses Braille more time to complete a test would be an accommodation. Because what we know about Braille is you cannot Braille as quickly as you can write. So they sometimes say give time and a half for a person who's doing Braille. So that's the accommodation piece again. The modifications change the content and change the expectations. I may expect that student only to read 3 pages where the rest of the students are expected to read the whole chapter. And I'm not expecting them that they'll then read 3 more pages tomorrow and 3 more pages the next day, because they would never get through what the rest of the students get through. So I may have to pick and choose the area that I want them to read in that chapter. Or I may have to rewrite the content for that chapter. And there actually modifications are used when accommodations do not provide enough support. So the accommodations on that hike we talked about would not have helped me because of my balance issues. I could not have done that same hike. That wasn't enough of an accommodation for me that I could just take a break and use walking sticks. I actually needed to have a shortened hike. And so we do have a poll, and here's our question. Does your student's IEP have accommodations, modifications, or both? So those are the 3 possible answers. And if Emma's putting up the
Yes.
poll, and if you'll answer it.
There we go.
Yeah. So most of them have both. And that's pretty usual.
Yeah, 100% of people
Yeah.